Well, Coros has dropped a completely new model out of left field, the Coros NOMAD. This watch looks to go head to head with the Garmin Instinct as a tough polymer adventure watch, and it's targeted squarely at fishermen? Well, this is an interesting one. Let's jump in. So while the Coros faithful have been waiting for the new edition of the Apex or Vertex, Coros was cooking up something completely new, and that's the Nomad. This watch actually introduces a few new and interesting features while maintaining some of the core Coros value propositions and comes in at a pretty competitive price of $349 US, the same MSRP as the Pace Pro. This is a 47mm watch with a 1.3-inch MIP memory and pixel display. The watch is just under 15 millimeters tall, which Coros states does not include the optical heart rate sensor, so it's a bit chunky, but it's not too heavy. The watch weighs in at 61 grams with a very beefy 24 millimeter silicone band and 49 grams if you get a nylon band on it. Even though this is being touted as an adventure watch, there's two notable specs that are lacking in my opinion. You have a mineral glass display instead of a sapphire lens like both the Apex and Vertex have, and the watch is rated at only 5 ATMs, just like the Apex, which should theoretically be okay for swimming, but for go anywhere, do anything adventure watch, I think 10 ATMs, like what the Vertex has, would have been a lot safer and a better call there. Also, this may be a little bit of a stretch here, but for go anywhere, do anything adventure watch, a built-in flashlight would have been a home run. Now look, I understand that Coros needs to make money on products they sell, and $349 is a decent price point for the Nomad, but I just hope they don't go down that same road as Garmin, where they introduce a much larger lineup of models and then start to withhold kind of expected and standard features from a model just to keep the higher cost models differentiated from the value focused offerings. Now with the Nomad having a MIP display, the battery life on this watch is pretty good with a touted 22 days of battery on a charge, 50 hours of GPS activities with all systems on, 34 hours of GPS activities in dual frequency mode. The storage here is 32 gigs, which you can load your maps onto and also save your voice notes for your adventure journal. What? Yeah, we're going to get to that in a second. So moving on to features for the Nomad, you're going to be getting a lot of what you'd expect from the Coros experience. You're getting downloadable global maps, downloadable regional topo maps. These are not routable, just like the past offerings. You can't route them on a watch. You have to kind of get it on the app and then import it to the watch. One interesting new update, the maps are actually more detailed than any previous watch and shows things like points of interest now. You get your standard offline MP3 playback, and there's still no streaming partner for offline music. Now, interestingly enough, Coros addresses this directly in the FAQ section of the Nomad's page. It says, Nomad currently supports offline music with MP3 files and will continue to work to find a streaming partner for offline music. So they're saying basically like, yeah, we know, we're trying, stop asking, but it's like, hey, Coros, you're a big enough company now. Find someone, get some sort of proper music app going. Now you also get the pretty now kind of standard Coros training experience. You're getting things like structured workouts and workout plans that you could create or import, training load, running tests, all that sort of good stuff that you come to expect from a Coros sports watch. But if you've noticed in all the little Coros clips I've put in here, there's no trail running, there's no running period, there's no cycling, there's no swimming. This isn't even billed as a sports watch. They're labeling it a GPS watch. So let's talk about what's new here and what's going on with the Nomad. For hardware, you're actually getting an updated heart rate sensor with larger LEDs, which should theoretically make it more accurate. There's also a new hardware button. Coros is known for their digital crown and back button layout that they use on most models, but now they're adding a new action button on the bottom left. This will turn on the backlight of the watch from the home screen, but during an activity, this button is customizable to a small list of actions like bringing up the map, starting a voice pin, and we'll touch on that in just a second. So, the target audience for the Nomad is your outdoor adventurer, but the specific niche that Coros seems to be targeting is fisherman. Yep. So there's an updated weather layout, there are moon and tide graphs, there's multiple fishing activities, you have the ability to log your catches during activities, the length of the fish, the weight of the fish, the species of the fish, and there's a few other very specific fishing apps and widgets and settings. Then the other new feature is voice pins. That's right, you get a microphone with this watch, a Coros first. And no, you can't do something silly like make Bluetooth phone calls. Why would you think that? At the time of launch, the functionality of the mic is limited to solely creating voice pins, which are geotagged audio recordings. You can also have geotagged photos and videos that you capture that you can create a story of your activity. So while this probably wouldn't be great while you're trying to hit a lactate threshold running workout, it would make a very nice memory of a hike or I guess a day of fishing. You're also able to create shareable links that have the photos, activity stats, voice links, and a route flyover for sharing with all your friends and family. So this watch has some great hits as a MIP display with maps at a competitive price point. I think it stacks up pretty favorably against the Instinct 3 with the inclusion of maps, but for an adventure watch, the flashlight would have been great. There's also definitely some unique features, and if you love fishing, then hey, that's some great added value there. But as I mentioned, there's a few misses here as well. If you're Coros' typical endurance athlete customer, you may be left scratching your head at the direction of this watch. Typically, Coros' features seem laser focused on endurance sports to the point where even standard strength training was an extremely lacking experience. Up until recently, I know they have a new update, I haven't tested it yet, but we'll get there. So now to have some very specific features for something so far outside their typical wheelhouse is interesting, to say the least. Now I will note that the reception on the Coros subreddit was not too positive so far, and the official Coros account actually popped in for a little bit of damage control and said that there are also some, quote, expected releases coming before the end of the year. So yeah, those Apex and Vertex models are still on the way in the year 2025 per Coros official account. If I had to guess, all of the niceties included in the Nomad, things like the updated heart rate sensor, more detailed maps, those are all going to, of course, be included in the Apex and Vertex. So then the question becomes, what are the main differences? Aside from hardware materials, which you know will be more premium, and are they going to be worth the higher price tags of those two premium models? So what do you think? Does this watch still tick enough boxes with offline maps, a decent bit of storage, dual band GPS, all the standard Coros training features, a rugged look, and a competitive price point? Are you interested in the Nomad? I've got to be honest, I'm leaning towards not getting one of these for a full review. Knowing that the Suunto Race 2 comes out next week at the time I'm recording this, Coros has at least one premium model that their official account just said is coming out before the end of the year. Amazfit will likely have a T-Rex out pretty soon. And Garmin Fenix 8 Pro probably isn't too far off either. But if you still wanted to actually see a full review of the Coros Nomad, let me know in the comments section. I could try and find some pennies between the sofa cushions and make it happen. Thanks for hanging with me today. I'm Dave, and this is Dave Does Fitness. Have an awesome day and stay fit.